Hey everybody, my name's Steve. I'm going to be putting a few videos out on my own YouTube channel to help you with your preparation or your decision as to whether to do an Ironman event. And I'm going to be doing that from a kind of non-triathlete perspective. So last year I completed the Ironman UK or the Ironman Bolton 2019. It was my first ever triathlon. It was the first ever Ironman. I made a lot of mistakes, which I want to share with you so that you don't make the same. And also as well, share with you some of the areas where I was successful and hopefully you can copy them too. Also, as well, it's important to note that this year I'll be competing in the Ironman UK 2020 or Ironman Bolton 2020. And also, it's going to be my first attempt at an Ironman 70.3 event in Staffordshire. So I'll also share some of the things that are happening along that journey to those two events this year. I think I'll start this first video with just kind of helping you or share with you my experience as to what I call is to what is your why, and by that I mean is what is your reason or why do you want to do an Ironman. For me, I had a bit of a career break. I had some time to myself, and one of the ways that I passed the time was to train. Just so as you know, from a personal perspective, I've always had a keen interest in fitness. In spare time, I take spinning classes, I take gym classes. I have in previous years done things such as Great North Run and London Marathon as a charity ambassador on a charity place. So the world of endurance is not completely new to me. However, I think it's important to note that Ironman is one step beyond that. So I think, the first thing is what is your why? Is it about the bragging rights? Do you just want to say to your friends, I've completed an Ironman event? So the first thing I learned last year, and I didn't know, to be honest, was there's not just Ironman events, there's different brands that do iron distance triathlon events, such as Outlaw in Nottingham. There's the Challenge series, as well as the Ironman branded events. So it might be that the one local to you is not specifically an Ironman event, but it is an iron distance triathlon. So look around, shop around. There might be some events that suit you better. There might be some events that offer you a better price or just work out financially better for you. And for sure, there's bragging rights of completing an Ironman, for sure. But is that going to be enough to get you over that line after 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours out on the track? It's a long day out there. Don't underestimate it is what I would say to you. If you've never entertained a marathon before, to go straight into an Ironman triathlon is going to be tough. And certainly in my gym environment, I've had people ask me these questions and they're fair questions. So, I'm not knocking them, but I've had people come up to me and go, hey, Steve, I'm thinking about doing an Ironman. I've done a Tough Mudder event, or I've done an obstacle course, or I've done a Great North Run, or I've done a trail run. Will I be able to do an Ironman? You may be able to, but my advice would be to research what you're getting involved with before you go ahead and book yourself on an Ironman. The work involved is immense. The skills involved are immense, and also as well the education is immense in terms of understanding your nutrition, how to train, how to get the most out of that. Second reason, or your second why as to why you might be doing this, is it might be a natural progression for you from a standard triathlon. It's a world that I know nothing about. I've not competed in any sprint triathlons, Olympic distance triathlons. I don't follow triathlon on TV. But it might just be a progression for you in terms of you're currently a triathlete and you just want to keep building up the distance. And you're going to be more than aware of some of those nuances of an iron distance event. From my understanding as well, and I would recommend that anybody checks this, is from every event the rules will change from drafting to non-drafting, bikes used, transition, all these kinds of things will vary from event to event. So understand those before you step up. It might just be a personal challenge for yourself. For me, that's exactly what it was for me. I completed the London Marathon a number of years ago, and somebody said to me, would you ever do a marathon again? And I said, absolutely not. But the one thing I would like to do in my life is see if I could complete an Ironman. As I said earlier, career break, thought this is the time for me to do this. So it just might be about that personal challenge for you. And if that's enough to get you across that line, then so be it. So the other area that you might be your motivation is you might be doing it for a charity or a personal reason, or you may have recovered from an injury, or you want to support a member of the family. There's a number of reasons like that. I'm sure you understand what I mean. This is an excellent idea. There's not hundreds of thousands of charity places out there like you would get on a London Marathon or a Great North Run, but there is charities out there that do offer support for Ironman or triathlon events. I actually teamed the two up and decided to do mine in 2019 for the Macmillan charity. The process there was I bought the ticket myself. I set myself a fundraising target with Macmillan. They took a percentage of the money from the fundraising, allocated that to my ticket cost, and it actually worked out a more cost-effective way for them to raise money than actually buying London Marathon tickets themselves as a charity place. So surf the internet, find out which charities are willing to work with you like that. I know Macmillan do it. I think I've seen 2 or 3 other charities do it. Or just approach the charity of your choice and ask them if they're willing to work on that scheme. I'll buy the ticket. I'll raise X. If I raise X, will you give me a percentage of my ticket cost back? You know, obviously it's going to have to be worth their while in terms of putting some money into their charity fund. It needs to be financially viable for them. But talk to them. It may be the way to do that. And that charity is there to offer you that support as well. And, you know, it gives you that motivation in the back of your head when you've got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, or you've got to swim with your head down on the looking at the swimming pool floor for an hour or so. It gives you that motivation to get on. Finally, I'm just going to finish this video. The thing that surprised me again with Ironman events or with full distance triathlon is consider the expense before you commit to it. It's a lot of money. It's not £25 like entering a local marathon or a local fun run. You're going to be talking probably somewhere in the region of £400 to £600 in your entry fee alone. Now, just to come to that, first of all, it will hit you and you'll think, that's expensive. However, when you consider that they're putting lifeboats out there, they're sectioning off roads, there's support staff there, there's your medal, your t-shirt, all the logistics that go along with that, you can see how that cost is incurred. So, you know, there's a lot of logistics for these guys to put on these events over such a large distance, you know, 140.6 mile from start to finish. So, you know, that needs resource all along that route. But consider that before you go ahead and book yourself on your first Ironman event. Because if you're not going to complete it, that's a hell of a lot of money to lose. I certainly wouldn't want to lose it down the pub on a Friday night. Also as well, it may be that the Ironman event that you're looking at doing doesn't include accommodation or travel. So when events hits town, as I've experienced before on certain running events, the local hotels will naturally put their prices up. Supply and demand, they can sell those rooms at the higher rate to spectators, to participants, etc. You've got your travel getting up there. And also with an Ironman event of that distance, you could find that you're going to need to be there on the Saturday to set your bike up, your transition areas up, etc. So it could be 2 or 3 days that are required in a hotel, plus you travel backwards and forwards. That could be cars, that could be flights. So already you're into the thousands of pounds before you've booked onto that Ironman event. Again, consider that before you decide it's for me. Final point, and not many people understand this, and with an Ironman event, not commenting all on other events, but with Ironman in particular, there's cut-off times at every stage. So you could be sat in there thinking, oh, I'm a good cyclist, I regularly go out and do century rides with my friends, I could probably do a bit of running and do an Ironman. You could be sat there thinking, oh, well, I can do the running, not too strong on the bike, can get that, but I'll go and learn and swim. So just understand the cut-off times, okay? There's a cut-off time for the whole event where you've got to get from start to finish, but then on every single stage, transition 1, which is transitioning from your swim to your bike, you will have to do that in a certain amount of time. If not, you're out. You know, that's it, game over. Then you've got time to complete the swim and the bike combined to get through to transition 2. Again, if you don't make that, it's game over. And then you've got a final cut-off time, which is to get yourself from start in the swim to the finish, the end of the marathon. If you don't make it, it could be over for you. And that's important to understand, that it's not just about completing this event, it's about completing it within a given time at those 3 different steps. And it's important to understand your own limitations, your own performances, your own speed before going to do that. Now, certainly I looked at some websites last year, and the Ironman Bolton had a particularly tough bike course. I think the dropout rate, or the cutoff, was in excess of 15% of athletes by the end of the bike section had not made that time. So their Ironman was over. That's then important to understand where you're competing and what the conditions are before you decide that you're going to go ahead with it. Doing 150-mile bike ride on the flat is very different to doing a 112-mile bike ride in the back and beyond of Bolton, on the hills and the curves, and the bumpier roads and the altitude, etc., etc. So consider all them. I hope you've enjoyed this first video. If you do, subscribe underneath, like it, give me a thumbs up. Any comments? This is my first video, like I say, and hopefully you found some usefulness in the videos and give you some food for thought before you embark on your first journey. All right, great. Speak to you soon.